Today's Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. Just taking a minute to breathe in and center myself. Get grounded. Just been tuning in with my own moods. Tuning in with how much sadness was coming up in me yesterday, even to the moment right when I went to bed. And a lot of anxiousness, restlessness, sadness. Not even much clarity on what it's connected to. Today's been feeling a little more steady, a little more relaxed. I guess kind of the subject of my mind has been these moods. This moodiness, these feelings, these emotions. My girlfriend's moon cycle started yesterday. She might be a little shy for me saying that right now, but I wanted to speak to it, not so much what's going on for her, but just to speak to the moon time in general, and how it connects with and affects men, and my relationship with it, what I notice in other men's relationship with it. It's a subject I like to bring up and talk about inside of men's groups. Just like to open the conversation to begin to shift the perspective of our mass culture around it a little bit. And just want to share insights that have come to me by being in relationship with women, with powerful women who have a strong connection to their bodies and to their moon cycle and to their blood flow. What I've noticed and what I've learned, what I'm still learning. I like to ask men inside of men's circles, like, what do we know about the blood of the woman's moon time? And what is our connection to it? I bring it up maybe because I see it as a connection for men back in with feminine wisdom, a way for men to connect in and learn from feminine wisdom during this time. I see it as a very beautiful and mysterious conversation between a woman, her body, and the earth. And where I see it as a time of a woman coming back into balance and harmony with the earth. And as she does that, it seems that maybe it can appear from the outside that she comes out of balance with the men in her life, or the other structures or systems or workplaces or whatever around her. And herein lies the key, I think, the gift or the wisdom of it for us men, is to pay attention to that And what may seem to be a mood shift, a hard time, or what seems to be a disruption in our life, maybe it very much is a disruption, but maybe a disruption for all the right reasons. A disruption of a new earth wisdom coming through the woman's body, through her blood, through her moods, through her emotions around that time, that is helping to set back into balance a relationship, a world, a system that's out of balance. And what we as men may often feel is something a little bit like rough or grinding or whatever around that time may be the very thing that we need to look at to bring ourselves back into balance, in the way of balancing out masculine wisdom with feminine wisdom, to come back into balance with the earth, to come back into balance with the feminine, to come back into balance with our partner. And whatever's coming up around arguments or whatever is maybe the exact thing that needs to come up that's out of balance. It needs to be looked at, that needs to be spoken to, that needs to be addressed. And one reason I bring this up is because I will often hear what sometimes passes as enlightenment among men, for men saying like, oh, when my woman's on her moon time, I give her a lot of space, and I just say, oh, I don't take anything she says too personal or too serious, because I'm like, oh, she's just on her moon time, she's just being crazy, and I give her space, and I don't take it personal. But the water's coming in strong as I'm saying this. Whew. Yeah, I want to speak to that as as an invitation. Yeah, big wave. I want to speak to it as an invitation to men to dive another layer deeper into that. To not just pat yourself on the back for giving your woman a wide berth during that time, for steering clear of her, or for forgiving her, quote unquote, for whatever she's doing, but understand it more as an opportunity for us as men to get more connected to the mysterious feminine, more connected to the earth and its rhythms, a chance to peer into the great void, the great mystery, and see where we're out of balance, where we can learn. And that instead of avoiding it, to pay more attention to it, to both use it as an opportunity to be curious, to pay attention, to both give spaciousness to your partner, your woman, to handle that time however she wants to, however way in which she does, to be supportive of that, and to also be attentive to what's coming up in that as a type of oracle. As a way of divine femininity coming into our lives and speaking to us through that channel. On the most practical of levels, all life, all of us, me, every human being, we have entered this world on that river of blood from our mothers. All of our children will come into the world through that river of blood that passes through a woman each month. And I feel that our society's ability to turn their nose up at that, to wink at that, to want to look at that, to turn away from that, is doing us harm. by causing us to lose our connection back into life, back into that bloodline river that we all enter this world on. And that the more we learn how to honor and respect it, the more we learn how to show up and honor and respect our women and their moods and their whatever's going on around that time, and to learn from it and to pay attention to it, to be curious about it, to show respect to it and all the moods it brings in, that we will be able to deepen our own relationship to life, to the divine feminine, to learn how to communicate with that aspect of nature, to broaden our own range in that communication. I overheard this man speaking the other day about his pregnant wife, or something to the effect of when she's giving birth and talking crazy or whatever. And it may have been spoken lightly, but I hear it spoken a lot that way, about maybe a woman talking crazy, acting crazy, and it's very dismissive of like, oh, we're on the real side, we're on the logical side, we're on the practical side, that's crazy talk over there. But that's where I feel there's a huge gap that we're all suffering from in the world, is the inability to connect with and discern the wisdom. And what may sound like crazy talk to a man while a woman is giving birth, I would dare say that is maybe the woman acting in the right mind, in the exact right mind, right balance that she needs to be in to bring a child into this world. And that there would be nothing crazy about that at all. No matter how loud or wild or strange it may seem, that indeed is the feminine wisdom's way of bringing life into this world. And that there is a lot for us to learn there. And to call it crazy seems a little disrespectful, or at the very least disconnected from the wisdom that's there, from the beauty that's there. And I think the more we as men can connect in with and learn from that wisdom, respect that wisdom, whether we fully understand that wisdom or not, maybe never in our lives, but to learn from it and learn how to communicate with it, and to learn how to deepen our intimacy with it, I think we all stand a lot to gain. As men, as women, as men and women being able to communicate together. If you don't understand your woman, maybe start with her moon time. Start noticing what's happening there, and notice what she's bringing back into balance, to respect that entire process. Not only her personal experience with that process, but the entire process itself. It's often been my thought that it is during a woman's moon time that she rebalances everyone in her, in her family, in her home, in her community space around her. Any men that are interacting with her are probably affecting her moon time. And for men to say she's acting crazy, it's probably something we're doing as men that's tipping that balance. And when she's acting in balance with her body and with the earth, we may feel ourselves as the ones out of balance. And from that imbalanced place, maybe we're calling her, from our perspective, crazy or out of balance. But maybe it's us who needs to come bring ourselves into balance with her and her body and the earth. And that is maybe another perspective of the great mystery of the moon time, of this cycling of the woman's body and blood. And that any woman that we work around or have connection with that we are probably both affecting her moon time, and we are also in turn being affected by her moon time, which is all opportunities for us to learn and deepen in our own connection with the feminine wisdom, which to me is also very much in sync and in harmony with earth wisdom, which would do us all some good to relearn our connection back to the earth and not to turn our noses up at the blood that we've come into this earth on, but find our way back into right relation, back into not shaming women around the fact that they are bleeding or however they choose to take care of their bodies during that time, but to honor them and respect them and help them to feel safe and comfortable to be even more communicative during that time, because there's a lot of information coming through their bodies, coming through their emotions, coming through their psyches and their intuitions. And if we learn how to see our women as the oracles that they are during those times, then I think we all stand to gain quite a bit. I don't pretend to speak about it, to have any knowledge above any woman in her own body. I only speak to know it from my perspective on the outside and continue to wish to learn from it. And I feel we as men can do a lot more to support women in how best to work with that time. And as more of us men as individuals pay attention to that, we could maybe even start to build a society, a community, a society that respects that time and learns from it, and not respects it in the way of ignoring it or separating ourselves more from it, but in the way of deepening in our relationship with it. It seems often, maybe in the masculine ways in the world, we like to get knowledgeable through facts, through knowledge, through like practical things, through what we would call what's the word? Rational. And it's maybe leans in the side of the masculine wisdom that likes these things. But I dare say that our enlightenment, our awakening is not going to come just through facts and knowledge of things, but it's going to come through us learning how to find our balance, find our truth, find our connection, our intimacy with our truth. And I feel like women and their own body's wisdom and their feminine wisdom is the medicine we need to guide us in that direction. And it's not about us knowing it, but us having coming into relationship with it, coming into connectivity with it, coming into intimacy with it, coming into communication with it, coming online with that communication, learning how to hear it, learning how to be receptive to it. And when we can be receptive to that vibration, we're attuning ourselves to the right channels to begin to hear the full range of divinity, and not attuning our minds only to what maybe like masculine wisdom over here, but completely blocked off to feminine wisdom over here. But if we can kind of open up that whole channel, I think we may learn our balance as human beings on this planet and have a deeper respect for the other genders for holding so prominently these other aspects of divinity within them that we're here to learn from. It is not always an easy subject to open or speak about, and it's something that I try to be careful with my own words because I don't want to overspeak myself. But just thank you for taking the time to hear this perspective from me and what I feel is a conversation that wants to come out a little bit more, wants to have a little more space and room to breathe in our world. With all my love and respect to women, to their moon cycle, to the holy river of blood moving through them and returning to the earth. I thank you for your work in this life and for the oracle and wisdom that you bring forth. For the sweetness and the connectivity back to the earth that you help me and other men connect back in with. I say thank you. Thanks for listening to me speak on this. Have an amazing day.